Happening right now on Sports Extra, 5 straight weeks of Falcons losses. The fans are certainly running out of patience, so we're going to try to make sense of everything for you guys Falcons related. And on the bright side, it was quite the evening in Athens. Are the Bulldogs peaking at the right time? And after a nerve-wracking win over Boston College, the Yellow Jackets, they have a shot at making the ACC title game for the first time in a decade.
I don't know that we brought out our best today. I mean, we had spurts where we didn't play well, you know, and we played well. We played well.
You know, Kirby Smart, expectations sky high at all times. We got a mixed bag tonight, but we're going to get through it together. We also have a Falcons legend in the house trying to make sense of everything. Take a deep breath, everybody. Sports Extra. It starts now. It's going to be a meditation session here on Sports Extra. So take a deep breath, everyone, in and out. Great job, John. John Michaels here from 680 The Fan right next to me. John, you're doing your deep breathing. Mm-hmm. It's very exciting. The Falcons cannot ruin your day.
No,
I heard you say. Okay.
No, I'll wait for the college football playoffs to do that on Tuesday night.
He's invested too, of course. You can do it just one.
Always.
Okay, the U. And then we have Caleb Johnson over there from 92.9 The Game. It is a rivalry show, but we're going to be friends here today. Caleb, you were in Athens last night. Exciting atmosphere there, huh?
Yeah, it was good. And I would rather do yoga up here than talk about the Falcons. I don't know. I just anything in that conversation, but I guess we have to.
Okay, yoga for Caleb is another show. We're going to bring that to you next Sunday, maybe. But let's talk about the Falcons. Unfortunately, 5 losses in a row now for the Dirty Birds, and it just seems like they continue to lose the winnable game. John, what's your instant reaction from this one?
You are who your record says you are. As much as we want to be positive about the team and you're close and you have all these different things happen, unfortunately, we've become the national laughingstock of how are the Falcons going to lose it this week. And once again, it was get to overtime, not be able to get anything done, give up points to the Carolina Panthers, have a late lead and allow Bryce Young to look like he's at Alabama again, and somehow have Caden Ellis on the final route covering a wide receiver, which I don't know if that was coverage, I don't know if that was just the escape from Bryce Young that set that up. But once again, you lose a football game, and now you're 3-7, let's be real. Your season's over, and you don't even have a first-round pick to look forward to. So thus is the life of the Falcons, which is why they're not going to ruin my Thanksgiving nor my Christmas.
So incredibly frustrating by a team that in the offseason we said they were surely going to beat this playoff drought. This was a team that was poised to plug and play a quarterback that they believe so much in, and yet here we are, 3 wins. They get embarrassed by Carolina the first time around, and then they lose to them again, Caleb. They're swept by Carolina for the first time since 2013, and as John mentioned, finding new ways to lose. How the heck do the Falcons keep doing that?
Yeah, I think it's, you start by blaming the offense, which has obviously had its issues, and having another Michael Penix Jr. injury this time around, and you don't know how long you're going to be missing him, dealing with another knee injury. I just think it's wild. I saw a stat earlier today. The Falcons are the first team in the Super Bowl era to have more than 18 sacks in a 3-game span and lose all of those games. It's just like they are doing it in impressive fashion. It's because I think it's a top-down problem. It is from the coaching staff that just can't, for whatever reason, communicate to this team how to play effectively. Guys are playing out of position, and guys are just getting beat, and then you throw in the injuries to kind of top it all off, and it's an absolute disaster right now.
It is very frustrating. It's hard to be positive. If you know me, I am an overtly positive person. John Abraham is sitting in the studio watching. He listens to me all the time and says, "You're so positive. You think the Falcons are going to win." I have turned a corner because I don't have a lot of faith right now, and that's because of what we're witnessing. And then we see, as you mentioned, Michael Penix Jr. re-aggravating that knee injury. This is terrifying if you're a Falcons fan, because if he's out for a prolonged period of time, that doesn't mean anything good, right?
No, well, it means your $30 million backup's going to get a chance to earn his money instead of standing on the sideline and sitting there in a full uniform like it's Halloween. So that's fine. Let Kirk Cousins go out there. I hate to see it because Michael dealt with a lot of this during college. He had multiple knee injuries, shoulder injuries. You hope that it's just going to be something minor, maybe a re-aggravation of what he had earlier this year, and he misses a game. But let's be honest, at 3-7, the last thing you want to do if he has any type of prolonged injury is throw him back out there. So for Kirk Cousins, you know the offense. You're paying this guy a ton of money. He had a really good connection last year with Darnell Mooney. Maybe it'll help jumpstart the offense. All I know is when I saw Kirk come in today, I saw the philosophy change. Suddenly you're under center. Suddenly it's play action passes. Hey, Zach Robinson, you could do that with Michael Penix as well. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, Kirk Cousins.
Now I'm mad. Thank you.
Sorry. I thought I was going to practice the deep breathing. Instead, I riled him up a little bit. Kirk Cousins, he has 31 career game-winning drives. His 32nd did not come against the Carolina Panthers today. You think that a backup quarterback would incite some excitement when you put them in, but instead, there are still issues. I mentioned the issues. I'm going to ask the question and give you guys a lot of time. 5 straight games where they have lost. That has gotten a lot of coaches fired. When will Raheem Morris be relieved of his duties, or will he at all, Caleb?
Yeah, I think that's the billion-dollar question, right? Because it's going to be Arthur Blank making that decision. I think for him, it's a decision of, do I want to go through the process of hiring a new coach all over again? I mean, I think Raheem Morris has shown that he is not that guy. I didn't think he was when he walked into the building. I think there was a reason why when you gave him the interim opportunity a couple of years ago and he didn't prove it then, you should have moved on. I mean, you know, obviously, you can talk about the disaster that is Bill Belichick with North Carolina. He still managed to win more games to this point with the Tar Heels than the Falcons have won. And so I think it's just, it's a mess. It should happen now, I think, at this point, just simply because you look at the last couple of coaches. Hey, it was the Carolina Panthers losses that, finally got them down the road. I think you need to start the process as early as possible, looking at your new next options. I just don't know if Arthur Blank at this stage in his life wants to restart all over again and have another failed process.
Man, and this will be a tough decision for Arthur Blank to make. He's so close to Raheem Morris, believes so heavily that he was a guy to turn it around to get them out of this playoff drought. So what does Arthur Blank do? What do you think the thought process is, John?
I don't think he's going to make a move, and it's sad for the fan base because you've now had, it's going to be 8 straight years of missing the postseason. You're not going to win out and suddenly go 11-7. If they do, I'll do the show naked next time we come in here, and nobody wants to see that. But let's be honest, even if they do make a change today or at the end of the season, who has confidence right now that you're going to go out and hire the right coach? You've gone back-to-back coordinator hires. Arthur Smith didn't work, and now Raheem Morris a year and a half. It looks like you're worse off today than you were when Arthur Smith was here. The last good hire they had was Dan Quinn. That was in 2015. That's a long time ago. And then the question becomes, if you make a coaching hire, do you also make a general manager hire? Because that'll be two hires under Terry Fontenot's regime. I think Terry's done good at the early part of the draft. I think outside of that, our depth is pretty mediocre, and you see that when you have guys on the field that just really can't get the job done. I don't know that they're going to make a move. Truthfully, they should do it tonight or do it tomorrow. Appease to the fan base. Give yourself something going into next year. I just don't know that it's going to happen.
I know. I think that fans are incredibly frustrated, which rightfully so. They are very loud on social media outlets that they want a coaching change. Whether or not Arthur Blank listens to that, that is said to be seen. So for tonight's Georgia Spotlight, I want to apologize, Falcons fans, because it's going to go to Panthers kicker Ryan Fitzgerald. I'm sorry, he's from here. The former Colquitt County Star nailing the 28-yard field goal in overtime to give the Panthers the win. Blame everybody else from our area that couldn't do anything today. I'm sorry. He hands his hometown Falcons team the loss today. All right, guys, coming up, let's switch to something a little bit more positive. No deep breathing anymore. Unless you're a Georgia fan, you get to deep breathe in a good way. That was unbelievable by the Bulldogs. They took care of the Texas Longhorns for their first visit between the hedges. What a show. Let's talk about it next.
Our core culture around is being the more physical team, and you have to recruit physical players, and they have to buy into that process. I don't know that a lot of these kids nowadays, they want to check. They don't want the physicality. And if you have the check and no physicality, you end up with nothing. So we're not just getting checks at our place. We're hitting people.
Everyone's talking about that comment, and rightfully so. With the changing of the guard in college football, it is about as impressive as it gets. The fact that every single player on that roster is bought in. Look what they did to the Texas Longhorns. They took those guys down. 25-point victory Saturday night in Athens between the hedges. Caleb, I'll start with you. You were there. At first, it looked like they were going to go tit for tat, and then Georgia said, we're going to ring the bell, which was the mantra of the team all week. They wanted to make Texas quit, and metaphorically, Texas did quit.
Yeah, and I think it was funny, to see Kirby is essentially go in and take this idea of ringing the bell that the Marines do, but say, hey, the mantra didn't win the game for us.
Yeah.
It was the players on the field, and to have two of your best defensive starters out, and then to lose Christian Miller in this game, and to go out and compete the way that they did, and really hold Sark and Texas's offense to be quite limited in this one, and then Kirby doing the exact play that you see on the screen. The first time since 2013 that Georgia has had an onside kick. And this was something that, the Texas kid, Cash Jones, that Kirby Smart said, hey, he's been asking for this opportunity for weeks, and I wanted to finally give it to him. He knew that a defeated defense having to go back out there against the Bulldogs offense was just going to be too much to handle.
Back-breaking. They put on a clinic when they were calling plays, from that special teams onside kick, the 4th and 1 conversion, then another 4th down later on conversion. It was unbelievable to watch. And just when you thought the Longhorns were playing good football, Georgia said, we're playing better than you are. Who's playing really good football right now and who honestly has consistently throughout the year is Gunnar Stockton. He doesn't get enough credit for how good he plays the quarterback position. He is a ball player, he plays it well, and he's efficient. Is it time to start putting him in the Heisman Trophy conversation, John?
100%. Gunnar should be in it. And let's be honest, this is not your typical year of the Heisman Trophy. Like last year, we knew it was Travis Hunter and a couple other guys were going to be finalists, and that was it. This year, name me your 4 finalists. Yeah, you could probably say Julian Sayin of Ohio State, throw in Fernando Mendoza. Gunnar Stockton has done just as much as all of those guys have done, and I'd argue in more pressure situations. The comeback against Tennessee, what you did at Auburn, what you did last night against Texas, what you did against Ole Miss down 9 in the 4th quarter. He's had Heisman moments, and nobody pays attention to it. It's ridiculous. Gunnar's had a great year, and I hope he ends up in New York. I think he's got a good chance to win it because, quite frankly, he's going to have 2 more opportunities. Maybe he'll have the Georgia Tech game, and then maybe if things go his way in an SEC title game.
How much fun would it be to watch the guy that has cows for a hobby be in New York City at a Heisman Trophy ceremony? That would be really fun. No, I think you're right. He doesn't get enough credit for how many games he's been able to be resilient in when the Dogs were down and behind. He's done enough to get them to win. Here's an injury that we have to keep our eye on. C.J. Allen. He is the guy on defense for the Bulldogs. He is the quarterback of the defense, the Mike linebacker, the do-it-all for that side of the ball, Caleb. When he leaves the game, Kirby even said he was concerned. Who knows what's going to happen with C.J. Allen, but if he is absent, what does it do to that side of the ball?
Yeah, I think it's a guy like Chris Cole has to step up and did so last night. You talk about next man up mentality, but I think something that Kirby is talked a lot about is the fact that, hey, what the transfer portal and NIL has done is it's made depth as thin as it's ever been in college football. And so, yes, there's going to be a lot of guys that you're going to have to rely on, but it's also it's going to mean other guys, whether it's KJ Bolden or other opportunities for other guys to step up in other positions on that defensive side of the ball that has certainly had a lot of bend but don't completely break unless it was against Alabama kind of moments.
They've had a lot of criticism, especially because Kirby Smart usually just has phenomenal defenses. This is a very good defense, but they have had their weaker moments throughout the season. Another defense that has had its weak moments is Georgia Tech. However, they escaped Boston College. Here's Brent Key.
Right, I told him, I said, 1 week from now, right, we're in a play-in game. Bottom line. All right, so from this moment forward, everything is geared towards us playing the best football we can possibly play as a football team next Saturday. So we're not waiting. There ain't no sitting around 24-hour rule. It was a 24-second rule.
I just love him. I love his urgency. It is so fantastic. Georgia Tech has their eyes on the prize next week, a chance to make it to the ACC championship game on the line. That may pain our friend John Michaels over here, although I know you do enjoy Tech. I know you like covering them for sure. And they narrowly escape a Boston College team who has struggled mightily this year, right? The Big Eyes. They have not been good, but they looked really good against Georgia Tech. However, Tech gets it done. Do you think that this team is probably going to be playing their best football here in the next 2 games?
I'd like to hope so. Really, next week is the one that matters. The Georgia game, I know Tech fans are going to say, hey, that game always matters. In the grand scheme of making the playoffs, it doesn't matter. You got to beat Pittsburgh coming up at Bobby Dodd Stadium on Saturday. Then you go to the ACC title game and a win there, and you get in the college football playoff. Nothing else really matters. Here's the scary part, though. The defense is getting worse week by week. What they did 2 weeks ago, you said maybe this is an anomaly against NC State. I saw NC State play yesterday. yesterday. They didn't have 100 yards of offense until about 2 minutes to go. Then Boston College, a 1-9 football team who can't get out of their own way, gets up and down the field. Blake Gideon has to fix stuff because Mason Heichel, I know they didn't play well yesterday against Notre Dame. Pitt can be explosive on offense, but you got the king of the city on the other side. I think the king of the city will get things done.
Okay, you mentioned Haynes King. I'll have you talk about him really quickly. This kid is fantastic. A lot of people have had him pegged as a guy that goes to New York for the Heisman Trophy later on this year. Why is Haynes very firmly in the conversation for a Heisman Trophy?
Because without Haynes King, Georgia Tech is 5-5 or 5-6. Heisman Trophy is supposed to be about the most important player to your team. They're in the college football playoff discussion because of one person. It's Haynes King. I know that's not fair to Malachi Holsley and Jamal Haynes and all the other guys, but without Haynes King, they are not where they're at. That dude comes up with 400-plus yards of offense again, and they needed every single one of them or they would have lost in Chestnut Hill.
Remember, he was a guy that texted Brent Key last year that he was peeing blood. That is how intense this kid is. Yeah, he literally said that. Let's talk about the game next weekend that John had mentioned. It is massive because ACC title hopes are on the line for Georgia Tech. Do you think the Yellow Jackets are able to get it done, Caleb?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a Pat Narduzzi team that, you know, he had the interesting comments, obviously, this past week when it came to Notre Dame. But I think Georgia Tech's got to get their defense certainly figured out. You know, Blake Gideon has got to get this, especially when you got healthy and you had Amari Harvey and Jai Gilmore back in your secondary. Like, they have got to be difference makers. You've got to get some pass rush going. But the very guy that we were just talking about, Haynes King, has been the difference maker, excuse me, so many times that I think one more time for him to have, 400 plus yards in the air and 100 yards on the ground, like, I think this is something that he can comfortably pull off. And I think, Brent Key has really got this team built for, hey, let's get this opportunity and be in the college football playoff.
I get chills thinking about his final game at Bobby Dodd Stadium at night. It's going to be an unbelievable atmosphere. So excited for that one. Coming up, my friend John Abraham joins us in studio. He's got plenty to say. We were chit-chatting before the show. You are not going to want to miss what he thinks about his Dirty Birds. That's next. Welcome back, everyone. It's always a good day when you see my friend John Abraham in the studio, a Falcons legend and one that knows all things about the NFL. So we're going to start with your Falcons, and we're only going to talk about your Falcons. They are struggling mightily, John. Let's start with the offensive side of the ball, who has seen their fair share of struggles. What have you noticed with the offense and the way that they can't close out these games?
For me personally, just watching the offense lately, it just seems like they don't have that let's go anymore. Now it's more of like, oh, here we go. Yeah. Like whenever the offense is not moving the ball or they can't get a first down when they need a big play or anything like that. And, having Penix go out today and having Kurt come in, it just felt like I saw it again.
Yeah.
Like even when I was in Berlin and I was watching them playing the Colts, I thought it was a tremendous game. I thought we had a chance to win. And then it was like, oh my God, here we go again. And I was like, right in overtime and overtime again, and then going, and it's just like, where's the let's go? Like, where's the body language of, come on, y'all, like, try to get the fans in still. Like, once you get an opportunity of the game is getting out of hand, they just kind of fold almost.
Yeah, it's a mentality thing is what you're talking about. You notice it in the body language of the players. That's something that I think was very interesting and what you noticed not only in Berlin, but in that game against Carolina. You were at that one as well this afternoon. What do you notice about the body language from the players?
I don't want to call any one guy out, but it's like when you see guys walking back to the huddle, you see guys on the sideline kind of being irritated because they're not in the game. You see guys not, holding each other accountable. After you miss a catch, you don't see the guys running up and saying da-da-da. After somebody misses a tackle, you don't see nobody coming and saying da-da-da. It's more like, okay, we're used to it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, he's not in the game right now, so that's happening. Like with the cornerbacks not being healthy today and seeing how the back end kind of folded. Last week it was, I miss Diablo, but last week it was,
We all do, yeah.
It was 300 yards rushing. This week it was 448 yards passing.
Yeah.
And it's like, we try to harp on the defense so much because we're getting sacks, but we're not winning. You're giving up 23 points a game, but we're only getting 18. So not saying it's the defensive fault altogether. It's definitely a team situation, but you're seeing it. And when I'm a fan now. So when I sit in the stands, I hear what fans say. Being a player, I used to critique them I don't know what y'all talking about. But the fans are very smart. They can they take little things that I don't see as a player. Why is he doing this? And I'm looking like, why is he doing it? Why is that kicker doing that? yeah, why is that kicker doing that? So, you know, a lot of stuff like that I see, and it critiques the team a lot better for me now as a fan.
Yeah, you're starting to learn it from the fan perspective, something you didn't do for a really long time, which I'm sure is a little bit different for you. But you mentioned the defense. This is a team and a fan base that was starving for sacks.
Yes.
Something you are proficient in, my friend. This was.
That was nice.
Well, it's true. You were very good at getting after the quarterback. The Falcons were not very good at that for a very long time. So now that they are, that kind of opens up another can of worms that people aren't paying attention to. Talk about the secondary and some of those issues that you've noticed lately.
It's just been bad. I mean, you know, I love A.J. Terrell. I think he's one of the best corners, like, probably in the league. It's just the teams he's on, and he hasn't had a chance to really flourish and be that guy that I wanted to see yet. Bates, I love Bates, you know that I said, but we have not seen Bates be the player he has. And I think maybe because, and this is something I diagnosed in my head, he's got to coach so many young players.
It's true.
Think about if you're the older guy. I remember being in situations as being a defensive line, and they brought like Jamal Anderson, and they brought another guy, and it was like all young guys, and it was just me, and I was the older guy. So a lot of times, I'm worrying about what they're doing, and I can see it on the field. When I look at Jesse, he don't look as comfortable as he did last year or the years before when he was running around his own job. But having to worry about what this guy's doing, and being the leader and like the older guy on the defense, it'll take your like, not job, but it'll take your mentality away some.
That's an interesting point, especially because he has a rookie safety starting opposite of him, so he's got a lot to worry about and a lot to coach up on the field, separate from what the coaches are trying to do as well. The Falcons can't win these close games. We mentioned that, and we saw that when you were in Berlin. We saw that against Carolina. Those are just two very recent instances of the fact that they can't close them out. How do you diagnose that? What do you think the biggest issue is? I
don't think they know how to win. And it sounds bad because it's an NFL team, but it's 5 games straight. And it's starting to get like, you know, you are what you are. Yeah. It's kind of like you have a team that can win in the fourth quarter. You have a team that can lose in the fourth quarter. You have a team that great at the run, great at passing. We're great at losing. Like, I'm just sorry. And I'm not trying to pick at anyone, but they just don't have that it factor when it comes to winning the games at the end. Like I said, even how their body language is at the end of the game, it's kind of like the last play when Ellis, you know, got shook on the route, everything was gone. Like, even when we were leading this game, the whole game, and I'm sitting here waiting like, when is the up? There it goes. And you just start seeing everything going like this, and you can watch coaches and watch people on the sideline. You don't see the energy no more. You see people sitting on the bench kind of like this, and there's a game still going on. You don't see nobody hyping each other up.
It's the old adage of good teams find a way to win, bad teams, they find a way to lose. Let's talk about something that I think was very interesting when you brought it up. There is a point in a season, a lot of the times, when players start to get very frustrated. We're mentioning these body language issues that the Falcons have. You notice how they are when they're sitting on the sidelines. But now they've lost 5 straight games. They've only won 3. This is a team who was told all offseason they were going to make the playoffs. Now there's no hope of that. When do you worry about losing the team entirely?
Every loss. And with the 5 straight losses, every loss as a coach, every loss as a player, you think about something else. You think about what I could have done wrong, what this person can do right, who do we need here, why isn't I'm in the game? You know, it's so many different mindsets going on. You got a backup quarterback now, might be a starter. Yeah. You have receivers that got to like look for a whole different guy. Oh, I'm Drake London. Am I still going to be his main guy? Or is Mooney going to be the main guy? So all this stuff has to go all the way back, starting from coaches, going all the way up to GMs, all the way up to owners. Like, what are we doing? And with every loss that happens, like, I don't care what team you are, it can be a Super Bowl team. You see how AJ is kind of in Philly. So it always can happen that way when it lost.
Yeah, you've been on a lot of struggling teams yourself. You understand what it's like to be in a locker room where it's struggling. It's not fun for anyone, certainly not fun to talk about either. So, John, I appreciate you coming in as always. Hang with us. We'll be right back. For tonight's Maria's Minute, I want to talk about how Kennesaw State honored their late head coach, Amir Abdur-Rahim. He passed away last fall during surgery. Abdur-Rahim helped turn around the Owls program, including a magical 2023 season and the program's first trip to March Madness. This afternoon, the Owls and USF coming together to honor their late former head coach with special jerseys, shirts, and much more for their game. Halftime, a special moment as a tribute video was played for his family that was there.
What Coach Amir was about was pouring into people and loving people, and through that had success. And it's just a demonstration that you can do it the right way. You can do it by caring about each other. That love that he showed for people, the connection he had with people, it really resonated.
What a special afternoon. We miss him so much. Good job by the Owls. All right, guys, have a fabulous week. Remember, next weekend is busy. Georgia Tech has a chance to make it to the ACC title game for the first time since 2014, and Kennesaw State football, their Conference USA title hopes still alive and well. Have a great week. I'll see you next Sunday.